Today, my hello everyone. Today, my dear friend Nika joined us to talk about some education trends and tech sphere in general, but we'll focus more on the language learning. And Nika has her language school. She's a founder of a language school, which involves innovative technology. So we would talk about this because we have something in common with her, actually. I'm also a private tutor, so we'll introduce the trends to you, and we'll also introduce the keys, like the key tips of how to learn a language. So, Nika, please proceed with some of the, some of the trends. Could you please tell me some of your recent learnings about the trends?
Oh, in education sphere, yeah? That's a good one. Well, when you think about the educational sphere per se, we have to obviously differentiate on different fronts. There's definitely a great rise of, let's say, professional learning, right? So you see, let's say, universities open education for many different people, like Coursera, Udemy, places and companies like that. But where I work is mostly basically language learning, right? And if we talk about the specific industry, then obviously what we see is that if you think 10 years ago, there wasn't Duolingo, there wasn't Skyeng. So all of these kind of platforms and kind of online schools where students can learn different skills from programming to English language to all different kind of skills online. So this is something that has been emerging more and more. So I would say, like, the biggest trend is obviously online education. As simple as it is a very growing trend that people are just staying and learning languages online with tutors from different countries, right? So you have also Lingua Marina, which is like basically a platform where you can learn English with native speakers, etc., and travel to US to get the experience as well. So as well as a lot of technical, let's say, more like innovative platforms like Bamboozle, where you could learn with memes and content creators like teachers. They post a different kind of their own, let's say, vocabulary games or Quizlet, where you can learn, with those kind of different learn words with different cards and games, so I would say the two major trends are online learning with tutors, right? So that you can connect from anybody in the world, as well as those technical solutions for the materials, right? So for the curricular, like Twinkle, so to innovate the curricular, or some other platforms that we have been using for, let's say, materials like digitalized books, and etc. So yes, basically digitalized solutions for education. This is something that's a major trend. This is simple as it is, but has been a great trend, obviously related to COVID as well. So this is really simple, but these are the trends that we're seeing. Although we decided to follow a different one, this is what we see.
Yeah.
What about?
Tell me. Yeah.
No, I say, what do you think, actually? What are the trends? Because you work, well, as a tutor in a big company, right? So what are the trends that maybe you see also in that sphere?
Yes, so I see that, there is a lot of interactive learning, like it's also gamified. So, we play games, we involve the student, we are on the same level with the students. So we don't like have this typical like model of how like the teacher is very, very smart and very strict, and the student is like it has to be pressurized. It has to learn from, you know, like, and like be sad that he does mistakes. So it's more of a game. So it's more of this like fun, having fun and playing games and talk. So in order to consume the material effectively, you should be interactive. It should be very engaging and exciting, because one of the things that you're doing, Nika is doing, is that she introduces gamification trends into education, so and into learning language in particular. So like she involves her children, like her students, into playing games and, you know, actually being excited and having fun, and it's a completely new way of learning. So definitely gamification and interactive things. And yeah, I work in a platform that is completely remote, so I can relate to this remote thing. But you know, as like, if it's more fun, even if it's remote, like it can keep you engaged. So I think the learning is going to get more as like, you know, it's going to be more in the tutoring shape, not like in normal school shape, like how it is now, but it will evolve in, you know, face-to-face, friendly atmosphere and tutoring. What do you think?
I wanted to pick up on the actually really great points that you mentioned about gamification. I've just been like 2 days ago on the conference on board games in foreign language learning. I was amazed at how teachers basically take all the different games that exist on the market, and they basically adapt it to the learning. And I have been also a month ago on a training on using escape games in learning, right? So you can also yes, you can also apply it in the language learning, obviously, because it's kind of like you talk about the topic of interest, and then you do the escape games puzzle. So you can also, the puzzles can be in English, you know, and all of that, so you can learn. So there's definitely a trend that the learning experience becomes funnier and like easier, because games are like making it easy, you know, to make mistakes, etc. And then what Lamia, which is my co-founder, brings in place is this kind of adventure element as well. So so you make it like engaging level 100, you know, like a very, very extreme level, because adventure and all of these quests and the treasure hunt and storytelling, you know, it's almost like a sales job. You kind of need to sell the whole story behind the information, behind the knowledge of why you need it. So definitely that. And the last point, which came while you were talking, is the technologies. So VR, right? So when we talk about education, we have this amazing company here in Estonia that also does a lot of courses learning, and actually even in language it exists VR experiences. So basically you put your glasses and you go to the restaurant in VR and you're like, hello, I want to order this and that, and then the VR image and what you see answers you back, and you play this kind of game. So there's a lot of technological advancement as well in this field.
Amazing, that's great. So, and yeah, we talked about the methods as well. We talked about, like, you know, you mentioned the methods like gamification, and also like that's edits online. So what do you think? Like, I work for a big business and you are opening your you know, smaller company that's a startup. What do you think is going to be more like successful in this area? Like, you know, the big businesses that take, like, they're probably a bit obsolete because they use, like, they don't have so much innovative experience, like they don't risk that much. And, you know, there are risky small businesses that skyrocket at the moment. So what is your prognosis on this?
Thank you for putting us in this category of this kind of amazing ideas and innovative ideas. but there are a lot of businesses that like this actually. But yeah, what we do with Lamia is basically what we understood, since we're still learning, because the startup environment is all about iteration, right? So you test what kind of company are you? Are you more of a service company, so you're customer oriented, right? So all of those clients and students or etc. So or are you more like of an innovation hub, right? That you generate new methodologies, etc. So I think what we kind of like stopped on is having those innovative methods, etc. And what we kind of as a small kind of startup, small project, what we understood is that we need like a big idea, right? So we need a big idea to survive. And this is the answer to your question right up front, is that the big businesses are going to survive because they have a big idea, right? No matter what the service that they're providing, right? So they are already there, they're on the market, there's a need, they have the IT solutions, etc. And when we start and when we think about our vision, we also have a big idea, but we decided to focus on more of a niche of actually creating offline centers where you can come and learn in a fun, easy, and enjoyable way through getting this new experience, like new learning experience. So if you think about schools as a, let's say, you go to school to study, or university, you go to study, or you go to a training, you have this kind of set curricular, set kind of course, it's all the same, etc. What we decided to do, or at least the first vision that we're having right now, is that we will do the same, but we will have centers where you can learn in a more innovative in a more efficient way. So if you go to school, a language school, and you learn a language, you again have the same curriculum, right? What we're trying to focus on is to find like this one spot of yours that if I press in here, you will get the maximum result. And this is done by a lot of research and development, about a lot of like studies, etc. So to answer your question, both are going to survive, small businesses, language schools, because the trend is definitely going to be offline. There's going to be a lot of offline communication. It's going to be priceless. That's something that I see, or I actually hear from people from other industries. And you think about it, definitely. I mean, people want to socialize, but then they kind of in the phone. So they will both survive because there's a niche here and niche here. But definitely, maybe some of them will. For us, it will take a lot more time because it's like an offline thing. But for the big business, it's already going to develop further. When the recession, let's say, is going to pass. I don't know. Apparently, that's what's said. But yeah. What do you think, actually? Because you are in the big one and you have been in the small one as well. You have the experience. So yeah. What do you think?
So I think there's definitely going to be, like, because the big business, it has a big base of clients. So it's going to be successful, but I think that the new businesses, they have like even more innovative approach, and they even more, like they have mission behind them to develop education and to to completely restructure it. So I believe that as like when people learn about it and when they get getting progress, I believe that they're definitely going to be more successful, because the idea that you have about turning it into games and creating an app where you can learn English with games like Harry Potter and different, it's like games. I mean, children wouldn't really want to go to school after that. All after school, they will practice their homework on this on this app, and it's going to be completely new for them, and it's going to be so exciting. Because imagine, instead of doing your boring homework, you just go and your mom tells you go do your homework. Oh, I'll just go play a game, and he plays Harry Potter or anything Star Wars, anything he likes. He just plays, and he doesn't get punished anymore for being, and I'm like, oh, why you play so much? Oh, mom, I'm learning actually. So it's going to be very, very progressive. And like, we realize, oh, like if you hit these trends that are very hot right now, I think it's definitely going to be very successful. And in the future, what I can see is that it's going to be even more successful when it grows. It's going to be even more successful than the old good businesses. So definitely need to invest in this sphere, because education sphere is growing very rapidly. Yeah, and so now me and Nika, we prepared something special for you. It's the key tips of how to learn a language from both like tutors with experience. And Nika knows a lot of languages. She knows, I think you know Spanish, Italian, some of French. You learn a bit of everything. So how do you achieve that? How do you achieve that?
It's a great question. How do you achieve learning a language? Well, this is, I've been teaching basically a total amount of 3,000 hours. I counted it once. And teaching and learning, I have been learning English for, let's say, 12 years in total, going to tutors and, and you know what, when someone asks me, so how do you speak English so well? How do you have this kind of accent? So the first thing to kind of break the mentality, to break the whole kind of vibe, that there is a habit. So I understood that every day I speak, write, or basically read, listen something in English. So it's such a habit to incorporate English in my life. And from this point comes the second point, that you can only achieve success in learning when you're interested in learning, right? In process. So when we meet megas schools and generally, when we approach a student, we always ask, what is your favorite color? I know this is crazy, but this is his favorite color, meaning that in this exact color he wants to have, let's say, a presentation. That's something that we're testing. We see, does that really matter or not? But something that we put details into this, then we ask, what's your favorite series and what are the topics that you would like to talk about? Because language learning, it's a very simple process. It needs this kind of interest, and as soon as you click that, there's an interest. Because I can remember from my teacher, she was giving me books to read about different fantasies and romance and etc. I couldn't stop reading. I couldn't. So this is what she was speaking at. She was speaking at my interest for this love stories. And then I was reading and reading. Translate. Yeah, I was interested in the book and the story itself rather than English. So English it was a kind of second instrument. So I was learning about life, about what I love. And I was crying in this book, and and then after, when I would come to her, she was like explaining, and then he left her, etc. So this interest, that you have. So that's why we pick on those things from our students. Pretty simple and easy. And then we go to the third point, which is about structure. So actually, I want to break this kind of point really across, is that you need really about 400 words to start speaking a language. So depending on the fourth point, which is your goal, you can easily do that. Yeah. So if your goal is to start speaking with someone really easily, so you would need to gather the vocabulary. And in Megas, what we do is that we basically give blocks of the most used vocabulary. We don't go from colors and we straight away go like first most used verbs, then the most used words are very similar to a language, etc. So like the mechanics of the language, how we use it every day. So what do you talk about, etc. And then the fourth point, which is about your goal. There's definitely needs to be a need. If you don't have a need to talk in this language, or some kind of a goal, the goal could also be a process. The goal could also be a process, a very enjoyable learning process. But yeah, if you don't have like a need, work or a friend or a boyfriend, it might be a bit difficult for you to learn. Lemia and me have the same story. We learned languages because she had to go to US, I had to study in school, I got a bad mark, so there was like a pressure point, like something I need to do. And then the last point, how to efficiently learn language. Actually, the most efficient way to learn words is to use body language. And this is the last little candy that I'm going to give to you. There are definitely more points, but this one is really efficient, is that when you are learning a language, you go like, so this is the phone. This is the phone. And you show that this is the phone. As soon as you show this sign, because children, when they learn, they say me, they say me. They show like me, they show with their hands, with their movements, with their body. And this is how they learn. The whole body is engaged in the process. And this is most efficient way of how to remember. So that's why as well in a Megas school, we're always, this is a dog and the cat and etc. These are the methodologies that we have been finding that are the most efficient at the moment. So these are kind of like those tips that I have for language learning. Really easy, really super easy for me.
Amazing. So I would like to add a couple of things to that. Also, like what really worked for me when I was learning English and what we do at Skyeng as well is that we speak English with the students. Mostly we need to speak English. So like it's immersion in the culture and into the language. So when I moved to Cyprus and I started learning English school, that would really help me because I had no other choice, like rather than speak the language. And first I was doing mistakes, but then I just picked up really quickly. So I was understanding everything. Then I started speaking. So I was also going to some English camps, from time to time in summer, just to practice. So when you get immersed into the culture, that's amazing. So, and I believe what you do in your summer camps is that children speak English as well. They just immerse into this culture, and plus you have this gaming experience. So it's some having fun and speaking English. So that's how you learn it the quickest, because that's how kids learn languages. They just go to school and they pick it up. So you don't even need to teach them English. They just go to school from like year one and like from elementary school, and they just pick it up. So like the best way to teach a child and language is just to bring them to international school. I'm so jealous of it because they learn 3-4 languages when they get immersed. Yes, so this was one point from me. So I think in general what we picked up is very, very interesting. So do you have anything else to add to this?
Maybe it's important to understand that the language learning, it's all about at the end of the day communication, right? So what is the reason why we learn the language is about communication. And so when we talk about this, is something recent that we started, I know, because even though I've been teaching a long time, but then you realize a lot of things. But there's a lot of psychology going on. So I even know myself with Estonian language, like with my native language, I should speak it. But I have this kind of inhibition, so sometimes you need to also think like, okay, is it all about my language? Is it all about that I feel stupid? Or is it because of my inhibitions in communication? So I feel shy, I feel shy, I don't know. In fact, the researchers said that the biggest fear that people have when learning a language is a fear of failing. So it's also psychological. So when we have lessons, we talk about this a lot. And then I had like a lesson lately, and she goes like, the student, and I feel like uncomfortable. I'm making mistakes. I'm saying, and so what? It's like you're going to a tutor, right? And this is what I say, it's like almost anti-marketing, but I say don't come to our school to be here for a long time, because it's just about, you know, finding those people that you can talk with, that to overcome yourself in some way, because language learning, it's all about your own experience and communication with people. So that's why another like kind of addition to this, and I know you will also kind of say maybe more about this, is this psychological part. You know, that you should talk with your students and generally with yourself if you can, like, okay, what's the problem? And I really understood there's no problem with me speaking Estonian. You know, no one really thinks about me bad, etc., etc. So it took me a little bit of the psychological work, you know, about my own mentality, you know. So yeah, it's very important with languages.
Yeah. Sure. And I think games help a lot of this mentality, because, you know, when it's a game, you don't think like if you make a mistake, it's something bad. It's just, oh, like, it's just a game. So you should treat things more, you know, more easily. So when you learn through games, you just play and you have fun, and then you just suddenly understand it, pick up things more and more. And what else I wanted to that very cool, it's very cool to set goals for yourself like that inspire you. So in Skyeng, what we do is that, like, for some reason, for example, I want to learn English for traveling, or I want to learn English for business purposes. So we set a goal, and then we come back to this goal and say, oh, how much did I achieve those goals? So we motivate them and motivate them even more. And yeah, when they're inspired, they have more motivation to study.
Everyone is different. You're absolutely right that it's so important to people who motivated by the goal, people who motivated by what they like to learn. Some people actually, they can't immerse themselves in a language learning environment. They like, it's me, for example. I was like, how did I learn Italian? I go to the library, I sit 2-3 hours listening to music, translating songs, you know, and then only after did I go to Italy, and then I started to immerse myself. But I had to learn my own, you know, a lot, and know a lot of things. So everyone is different, and I really love how all the businesses are really trying to make this learning more efficient and more enjoyable. Yeah,
great. Okay, so I think it's time for some questions from the audience. So we have Miroslav here and we have Ravi. So if you want, you can ask us some questions.
No questions from me, although it's very interesting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, very interesting questions. Thank you, Nika and Lisa.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. And so guys, please put your questions if you have any in the comments, and you can also write what you want to hear from us in the next episode. So we'll listen to you and we'll definitely answer your questions. So please, like everybody says, like, follow, subscribe, and see you next Friday.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.